For races to go in the Formula One World Championship, and coming up next is another back-to-back pair of races at Greater Noida in India and Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. We look at the state of play regarding development of the F2012 for the final rush with Tombazis, Scuderia Ferrari chief designer.
Four races to the end of 2012 season. Where are we with the development of the current car?
We are clearly heading to the last four races, having lost our championship lead and having still some performance to make up to our main rivals. So that means that we cannot defend, we must attack in the last four races, and we have a plan to bring upgrades to the car in every single race and to try to close the gap to Red Bull and to fight with them for the wins and hopefully bring home the title.
It's always said that one of the keys for the success is the development rate. Are you happy with this development rate in 2012?
I think if one looks at it as a whole, one can be reasonably pleased with where we are now, still fighting for the championship, being one of the two main contenders for the championship, compared to where we were at the start of the season, where we were really in a very bad shape. So in that respect, we can be reasonably pleased. That said, we were hoping to be a bit further ahead in the last few races that we've completed. We had brought quite a few upgrades to the car, and we were hoping that those would have closed the gap to our main rivals, and that didn't materialize for various reasons, and that clearly has been frustrating for us, and we have had to think hard about what didn't work and try to recover that. So really I'm not pleased about the last say couple of months, but I think overall it's okay, and I hope that in the last four races we will be pleased again.
What were the actions done to solve the problems you're talking about?
We did bring, as I mentioned, some components to the track which we had predicted would have made the car go faster, which had a negative effect. So we had to be very careful in our measurements to analyze that. When this happens, when you have components that in the wind tunnel may appear to be better but then do not translate to the track, one has to be very careful about what is happening. So as a result, we organized what we call an aero test in order to try to evaluate these components and to do some fine-tuning of them. And this was completed before the India weekend, and we got some very interesting answers, some very clear trends about what was wrong, and we believe that we have taken steps to recover that.
Looking at longer term, what are the actions to solve the problems of correlation? And I would like to ask you to explain also the meaning of the word correlation in the aerodynamic world, to make the Ferrari wind tunnel more competitive compared to the rest of the Formula One world.
Well, in Formula One aerodynamics, when one talks about correlation, one really means the level to which your wind tunnel can predict the performance, the aerodynamic performance of the real car, the track. A wind tunnel correlation is not black and white. It's not either you have it or you don't. There's different degrees and levels. There can be miscorrelation for a lot of different reasons, whether it is the flow quality or whether it is the scale of the car or the size of the wind tunnel or some geometrical differences, etc. There can be a huge number of reasons for which you may have problems with correlation. What our tunnel is clear is that we've had some areas where we've actually failed in bringing the performance of the car. So there are some undeniable problems that we need to solve. What we have decided to do is to take some fairly significant steps to upgrade our wind tunnel to bring it to the forefront of the technology that is known at the moment. Compared to some of our rivals, our tunnel is now a bit older, and we believe that it has fallen behind in some of these aspects. So that's why we have decided to perform these fairly major upgrades. Now these clearly take some time, and there will be some months during which one has to do these actions, and clearly we cannot stop development during that time. So we will be renting a wind tunnel commercially and performing our development there while we perform these upgrades in our own wind tunnel. And hopefully by the end of that process we will be able to come back to a much more accurate and good facility and carry on developing in our own house.
How difficult is to work on two different wind tunnels at the same time?
In an ideal world, if one has a wind tunnel where one gets all the good results, etc., to have one wind tunnel is actually a lot simpler than having two, because one doesn't have to go back and forth, do comparisons and so on. One can rely on what one is measuring. When one has some correlation issues, it's useful on the other hand to have some checks in another facility and to be able to compare the results from different facilities. So that's why we've had to use another wind tunnel. So it makes life more complicated for sure, but when one has these correlation issues, it's quite useful.
Coming back to the last part of the current season, how do you foresee the behavior of the car in the next 4 races from the aerodynamic point of view?
The last 4 races are all reasonably high downforce circuits. Now 2 of them are, let's say, close to maximum downforce, another 2 are slightly more moderate levels of downforce, but all fundamentally reasonably high downforce circuits. So there's not a huge difference in the aerodynamic setup of the different races. There are some differences, but not massive. So our objective is not really circuit dependent, but it's more trying to bring all these upgrades we've got from the wind tunnel work as quickly as possible, as early as possible to the track, and also to confirm their performance at the track, so hopefully not have these problems I was citing earlier. So hopefully convert the wind tunnel performance to a car that actually goes faster in each one of these races.
How do you determine the aerodynamic configuration of the car for a brand new circuit, as Austin will be?
When we arrive at Austin on the free practice 1 on Friday before the race, it will not be the first time we've actually analyzed how the car should be set up. We have received a circuit map and we've got information about the circuit in terms of the straights, the corners, the basic layout of the track, and we have managed to do that, to take that data and put it in the simulations, whether it is offline simulations with our various simulation tools or on the actual simulator itself. So we have done quite a lot of setup work already on the car, both from an aerodynamic point of view but also from other aspects, suspension, etc. And we feel we've got a reasonably good view about what to expect. Clearly, once we arrive there, then there will be obviously fine-tuning, there will be some aspects which maybe haven't been simulated completely and will need some adjustment, and that will happen during the Friday before the race.
Last question, looking at next year, where are we with the development of the design of the 2013 car?
The 2013 car is at quite an advanced stage. We have the good fortune, considering that we are in a championship fight for 2012, to have a continuity of regulations for 2013, which means that the work we're doing for 2012 car aerodynamically can also be translated onto that car, and therefore it's beneficial for both championships, let's say. From a mechanical point of view, of course, we've had to finalize a lot of the car, all the chassis, gearbox, mechanical layout, suspensions, crash structures are all fairly finalized, because we need to obviously be producing pieces, and the car is already in production at the moment. The aerodynamic package that goes into the car still needs a lot of evolving, because the bulk of that work will happen once we've finished the 663, the 2012 development.
Opened 2 years ago, Ferrari World Abu Dhabi is the first ever Ferrari theme park constructed on the Yas Island, which also hosts the 18th round of the Formula One World Championship. With Andrea Perrone, Senior Vice President of Ferrari brand, we explored a unique experience aimed at all the senses, which shows the passion and technical innovation of Ferrari.
Welcome to Ferrari World Abu Dhabi. I look forward to seeing you here soon.
Ferrari World Abu Dhabi is the first Ferrari theme park in the world. It's the largest indoor attraction of its kind. The idea to open this theme park came directly from Mr. Montezemolo, our president. Abu Dhabi has been a normal consequence of the partnership between Ferrari and Mubadala. And became a landmark not only in the UAE market but even more at a worldwide level. The park today it's definitely one of the main attractions of the UAE. To realize the theme park, it has been taken roughly around 5 years, from 2005 to 2010. I mean, from the first drawings and to the open ceremony. And of course, it's been a very challenging period for all the people involved in the project, but more than ever, has been so successful for all of us. The theme park, it's an environment, of course, for families, for kids, but even for people that want to enjoy and experiment the Ferrari soul. So it goes to people can enjoy attraction like small cars, small electric cars, and to the roller coaster, the famous Formula Rossa roller coaster. And of course, it's not only for Ferraristi, it's not only for Ferrari fan, but it's for all the people that want to really have an experience of what Ferrari stands for. Since the opening, of course, it's a work in progress. We are still implementing a new attraction. A new attraction will come in 2013 and 14. Of course, today there are around 20 main attractions in the park. Formula One, it's very important for the brand strategy, especially on the merchandising level. Has been since the beginning one of the main drivers on the merchandising, and still today it's the main driver. Of course, we are also looking to a more lifestyle merchandising, and that will be the new challenge for the company.
Designed to fit in with its surroundings, with lines that remind one of the outline of a sand dune, the building over 3 levels has a total surface area of 176,000 square meters. with a volume of over 3 million cubic meters. It boasts numerous attractions which tell the story and reflect the passion, excellence and performance of Ferrari technological innovation. The latest addition to the many attractions added to the fastest roller coaster in the world, a run on a Ferrari Enzo that reaches a height of 62 meters before coming back to Earth, so that one experiences the effect of Gforces. The exciting run on water right to the heart of a 12-cylinder engine, and many dedicated to the youngest. His journey through Italy, a 4D experience through environments and scenes where no Ferrari has ever been before. In addition, in this spot, we continue with the usual look at the Formula One alphabet. The Scuderia Ferrari engineers today give a detailed explanation of the meaning of Gforce, hydraulic system, lubricant and sensor.
By G-force, we mean the inertial forces that act on a driver's body as he drives around the Formula One lap. A Formula One car achieves 5G deceleration when braking from high speed. 5G means that the car accelerates 5 times faster than it would if it was dropped in free fall in a vacuum. Obviously, it is a very high level of acceleration, and because force is proportional to acceleration, this means that a force 5 times bigger than the body weight of the driver is acting on the driver himself. So for a driver who weighs perhaps 70 kilos, we've got a force equivalent to 350 kilos acting on the driver's body and squashing him against the car. Obviously, this is a really high force, and therefore the driver must be very well trained in order to be able to sustain this force while controlling the car. Perhaps the most noticeable effect of G-force happens when you're actually cornering. So in this case, it's the maximum lateral acceleration for a Formula One car is about 4G. And this is exerted on the whole body, including the head of the driver. Now, a driver's or a human being's head weighs around 6 kilos. So a G-force of 4G means that there is an equivalent of about 24 kilos mass or force pushing sideways on the driver's head. And obviously it takes a lot of training for the driver to have a neck that can sustain such a force for the hour and a half that a GP lasts.
The hydraulic system of a Formula One car supply several actuators, like the gearbox actuator, the clutch actuator, the differential control, drive-by-wire, and also the power steering, which is supplied by the hydraulic plant. The kind of system is very similar, or is, let's say, studied and designed on the base of the aeronautical and experience. And this is mainly because a Formula One car is subject to very high acceleration, and like an aircraft is much better, or is mandatory to have a lower pressure maintained into the system to avoid air or missed actuation or problem in the actuation itself. As said, the supply of the hydraulic enable quick actuation and allow the driver to control and do several commands like different shape and control, and also reduce by means of the power steering, reduce the effort that he has to put on the steering wheel in a turn.
So, sensors are something like these two pieces here, and as you can see, they are so small that basically they can be placed in all the areas of the car, like the engine or the gearbox. Thanks to this, sensors are able to tell us each time and each moment what the car is doing when it's out on the circuit. Then at the racetrack, we use all the data given by the sensor. We mix them with the feeling of the driver, and on this base we play on the car setup in order to build a quicker car. So at the end, this is the way we work when we are on a race weekend.
Lubricant is a really critical part of the car that keeps all the working parts of the car working perfectly. Shell supplies Ferrari with a range of lubricants, so Helix engine oil, hydraulic oil, gear oil, KERS fluids, and all of these products play a really critical part in keeping the engine and the car very, very healthy. The Helix engine oil in particular plays a really important part in not only delivering improved performance for the engine, but also increasing engine durability and reliability. These days, with each driver only having 8 engines for the whole season, the lifetime of the engine can be over 2,500 kilometers, and the engine oil plays a critical part in making sure that the Ferrari engine can reach the end of its lifetime.
Scuderia Ferrari Racing News will be back on 10 November with previews of Austin and Sao Paulo races and the latest news from Maranello.